So today we had a debate with our students. So I decided the topic, the future of English. So the topic is, will it further strengthen its position, or will English be challenged by another language? Because I thought it might be interesting if you start this debate, because we had some mini lectures on two sides of English position. On the one hand, we're talking about what are the obstacles that can challenge, that can negatively affect the English position in the future. On the other hand, we have another mini lecture about the strengths of English, why English is fated to continue its global status. So after doing these two mini lectures, I thought it might be good for our students to join the debate. So we decided to divide our classes into two teams. So we have some 10 students here. So I assigned the pro team students, 5 students. So their position, it will further strengthen its position. And on the other hand, we have 5 other students their position is to challenge the English position because of the emergence of different languages that might replace English as the world's common language. And it was interesting to see how they debate first. So first of all, the pro team comes out, and her name is Bella, and Bella said English is continue to maintain its global position because the United Nations is the one example. So in the United Nations, the role of America continues to be strengthened. Then the English is the dominant language. So this is one example that shows the power of English as the world language. Then on the con team, there is another student. That one comes over, that took over, and she acknowledged, yes, the United Nations could be a very important place to use the English. However, she refuted the Bella's point by saying that the English is not the only language in the United Nations. It is only one of a few languages. For example, the French still plays a major role in the world of diplomacy. And also she also talks about the Contim, from Contim. It was interesting to find that she said English is no longer the single language. Why? Because there are so many varieties of English languages, so there is some problem there. As a result, there may be some problems in comprehension among the English speakers. And also she was also mentioned the rise of the Asia countries as economic power in the next century. For example, she was talking about China or India, that they are emerging as one of the major middle-class consumer groups, that say something about their linguistic power will also increase. So after Dawan is done with delivering her point, then we have another student, Park Dong-gu, come from the pro team. And he said, okay, that what Dawan says sounds very feasible. However, he said the English, no matter how many varieties of English may be occurring in the global society, but we must maintain that English will still remain the single language because it has the same root. And also Dong-gu was he was also citing our textbook input about the English happens to be at the right place and the right time. So, as the history tells us, English strength, that English happens to be at the right time, at the right place, English will continue to be at the right time, at the right place. So that was a strong point that was delivered by Dong-gu. Then there was another student, the Yujin took over the podium, and Yujin said, English is fated to remain strong. Why? Because English is sitting on a strong cultural legacy. And media, she says the media is one example, and he cited the numbers. to support her points. For example, the advertisement, the United Americans are spending 2.6% of their national income in advertising, and English is a major medium in expressing in doing business in the advertising. And after using is done with her point, and there is another student from the Kan side. She was Chong Seon-young, and her major is Chinese language, Chinese literature, and she presented a very brave point, and that is very controversial but very intriguing. She said that China is emerging as the next economic engine, and also its economic power comes, then also linguistic power will also rise as a result of its economic power. The English has been, English rose as the world language with the power of British Empire and the American people. And also she said that China is rising as a trading power, and also she quoted the news article by the New York Post that the article's title is Chinese replacing English language. Maybe in sometime 2030, and there will be about 1.4 billion Chinese. That means that in the global society is going to have 1.4 billion Chinese-speaking language. She said this is a critical number. So we cannot ignore the critical number. The number of Chinese speakers is reach a critical mass, then the table can turn around. This is her point. That was very intriguing. Then there is another student, Seon took over, and he came from the pro team, and she said, okay, what you said it sounds feasible, because sometimes there is a numerical influence we cannot ignore when we are talking about the linguistic power. However, Seon emphasized that the English is different. English is the result of 1,500-year-old history, and it is a constant. And English is the result of its constant contact with a different language and different people. Therefore, we cannot ignore this historic background. Then after Seon is done, there is another student, Hyung-gang, took over, and she came from the Kan side. She said that the English has serious problem, because if it continues to fragment it into the different varieties, then it will have some problem. The English lingual major function, that is intelligibility. So it was very, English must overcome this problem if it wants to remain as a lingua franca for the world society. So as I hearing the students' debate, that I was impressed, because our students appears to use our languages that we have learning from our textbook, and also they know the rule of the game. So once they hear the other student's points, they summarize his point, then he found his own logic to counter the other student's point. So there are three ways of reacting to the other point. The other point, one is to acknowledge, accept it, and refute it, and the other way is to accept it, but he bring up another bigger issue so that he can overwhelm the preceding point with even bigger issues. In this regard, I think that it was interesting to see that Chong Seon-young, the student's point, that she was talking about the critical number of the Chinese speakers, and it was rejected, it was refuted, it was challenged by the Seon. The Seon was talking about the English history. The Chinese stayed within China, but English has moved around from one continent to another, and it was a result of the many contact with the different cultures. I thought that it was very productive debate. Then I declared that it was the two teams, both teams did a very good job. However, I, as a judge, that I declared that the Kan team did a better job.